Our first guest is a veteran stand-up comedian, or as we say in Indiana, veteran. And this Sunday, his first television series, The George Carlin Show, debuts on the Fox network. Folks, please welcome the comedy stylings of Mr. George Carlin. George! Hey, George!
Well, I don't have to tell you this is the best part of the football season, and baseball is not far off, and for that reason I'd like to do something called baseball and football. Now, you have to remember that baseball is different from any other sport, really different from any other sport. For instance, in most sports, you score points or goals. In baseball, you score runs. In most sports, the ball or object is put in play by the offensive team. In baseball, the defense puts the ball in play, and only the defense is allowed to touch the ball. In fact, if an offensive player touches the ball in baseball, he's out. Even unintentionally, he's out. In most sports, the team is run by a coach. In baseball, the team is run by a manager. And only in baseball does the manager or coach wear the same clothing the players do. If you have ever seen Buddy Ryan in his Houston Oilers football uniform, you will know the reason for this custom. Now, baseball and football are our two most popular sports in this country, and as such, you would think they might tell us something about ourselves. You know, maybe who we are or how we've changed. Baseball is a 19th century pastoral game. Football is a 20th century technological struggle. Baseball is played in a park, the baseball park. Football is played in a stadium, sometimes called Soldier Field or War Memorial Stadium. Baseball begins in the spring, the season of new life. Football begins in the fall when everything is dying. In football, you wear a helmet. In baseball, you wear a cap! Football is concerned with downs. What down is it? Baseball is concerned with ups. Who's up? Are you up? I'm not up. He's up. In football, you receive a penalty. In baseball, you make an error. Whoops. In baseball, the specialist comes in to kick something. In baseball, the specialist comes in to relieve somebody. Football has hitting, clipping, spearing, piling on, personal fouls, late hitting, and unnecessary roughness. Baseball has the sacrifice. Football is played in any kind of weather: rain, snow, sleet, hail, fog, can't see the game, don't know if there is a game going on, mud on the field, can't read the uniforms, can't read the yard markers, the struggle will continue. In baseball, if it rains, we don't go out to play. I can't go out, it's raining out. Baseball has the 7th inning stretch. Football has the 2-minute warning. In baseball, during the game in the stands, there's kind of a picnic feeling. Emotions may run high or low, but there's not that much unpleasantness. In football, during the game in the stands, you can be sure that at least 27 times you are perfectly capable of taking the life of a fellow human being, preferably a stranger. And finally, the objectives of the games are completely different. In football, the object is, for the quarterback, sometimes called the field general, to be on target with his aerial assault, riddling the defense by hitting his receivers with deadly accuracy in spite of the blitz, even if he has to use the shotgun. With short bullet passes and long bombs, he marches his troops into enemy territory, balancing this aerial assault with a sustained ground attack which punches holes in the forward wall of the enemy's defensive line. In baseball, the object is to go home and to be safe. I hope I'll be safe at home.
George Carlin, everybody. right back here to visit with Mr. Carlin. George Carlin is here, ladies and gentlemen. Very nice, George. Nice to see you doing stand-up, and I appreciate it.
Sure.
And thanks for coming in. You were supposed to be here last night.
Right.
All kind of trouble. You couldn't get out of Los Angeles.
Yeah.
We've had like 6 big storms here in the east, and you couldn't get in.
It snowed here, and they panicked out there.
Right.
They cancel, delay. This was not much of a snow compared to the other stuff.
No, but we've had so many of them that it was just really renewed annoyance.
New Yorkers really aren't bothered by it. I think New Yorkers say to snow, they say, get out of my way, I'm coming through. I don't care if you're white and fluffy, I'm coming through. Los Angeles is different. Even if it just rains there. After this much time in the business, I'm going to do an L.A.-New York comparison joke.
Oh, good. This is be a good lesson for the beginners out there. Okay, here you go. Oh, you mean there are differences?
Oh, there are big differences.
Wow.
And one of them concerns the weather. But they panic in rain. You know, I mean, everybody slows down to 5 miles, and the entire state becomes a school zone when it rains a little there. So that's enough of that.
Yeah. So, but anyway, you're here, and you're doing stand-up out there. Now, you must have had some sensation. Well, fear, sure, that's healthy for all of us.
Yes.
Have you ever had a crab up your nose?
That's healthy, too?
That's real fear.
Yeah.
But you did the old Ed Sullivan Show so many times.
Right, 11 of them, 11 shows out there.
It must have had a little feeling of the old days for it.
Well, the basic superstructure is the same, and you can see, and the fear, you know, that old feeling that came. I did 11 of them between 67 and 71, which spanned a period for me from when I went from kind of being a suit and tie mainstream comic to being some sort of a quasi-pseudo-hippie or whatever that was I turned into. And toward the end, they started putting me up higher and higher on the floors here in the dressing room. Yeah, get up to the 6th floor. That was sort of the hippie ghetto up there. The 6th floor. The bands go up there now, don't they? They keep people up there that they don't really want mingling.
I've never been up there.
No,
George.
I don't blame you.
But I did a photo of, and I'm telling you, this. I would look at this and I say, is this Jimmy Darren? Who am I looking at here? I'd forgotten just exactly.
Actually, that's Jimmy Darren and Ed Sullivan. No,
how
that's
much
me.
differently you looked in those days. This is, like you said, 1967.
Sometimes 67 or 8. And I did at that time I did a character, the hippy dippy weatherman.
Al Sleet, wasn't it?
Al Sleet, the hippy dippy weatherman, who was. You know, for the era that it was, he was a very subversive character because he was a guy who was loaded on pot. And most of the country, I think, was not aware of that. I know Ed Sullivan was not aware of that.
Ed just thought he was wacky.
Yes. Of course, we don't know what Ed was on, you know. Ed was on whatever he did. But those were some frightening but pleasant days.
Did you have a good relationship with Ed Sullivan? He must have liked you.
You know, well, the thing is, every time my manager would go down between dress rehearsal and air to get the cuts, because they were infamous for cutting you at the last minute, I never got cut. Never got cut. And Sullivan would just say to my manager, well, now, he's Irish, isn't he? And that was the end of the conversation. And it happened 4 or 5 times.
So Ed would he would work that into the introduction?
A young Irish boy.
One time he did.
We're not going to cut him. He's Irish, so.
One time at the end of my show, he said, now come on, he's Catholic, he's from New York. He did. Beautiful.
Tell me a little bit about the new show. And I'm surprised, although I know it's true, that this is your first regular series television effort.
Well, you know, I mean, for a long time I had some opportunities to get involved in these projects.
I would think so. I would think that they would be after you all the time.
Wasn't very interested. You know, I really didn't want to get trapped in a living room with 2 children smarter than I. So I kind of put them off. And this seemed like something worthwhile with Sam Simon, who has a great pedigree. Tracy Ullman, Simpsons, Taxi, Cheers, and I thought we could make something happen together, and it looks very good. It's based on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, my own neighborhood, stick to your strength, and it's about a guy like myself who never left the neighborhood, though, never got interested in show business, but has all these attitudes that I have and this kind of verbal shtick. So he kind of holds court in a bar up there and on the stoop and on the street corner, and it's the George Carlin Show. We're having a lot of fun. I want to tell you this. Now, I want to say this on the old TVs here. I have never been happier in a creative setting. In all the time I've done stand-up or a couple of movies or a guest shot here and there, this is really satisfying, and we're doing good work. We come on Sunday. Yeah. We'll see if the audience will be there. I hope we can catch an audience. I think we have a chance because it's really feeling very true and very right.
You know, I shared that sense of satisfaction and fulfillment right up until the opening piece on tonight's show.
Yeah, but you recovered, didn't you?
Oh, did I ever? Yeah. It's on Sunday night. Did you mention the time?
9:30. We follow Married with Children on Fox.
Well, there you go. You got it made. And what do you do now that you're in New York? Are you spend some time out on the streets visiting?
Well, I go out. The guys who give out flyers on the corners, I love them. And what I do is I always take a flyer from a guy on 46th Street and I give it to a guy on 47th Street.
There you go. All part of God's great plan. George, good to see you. Good luck with the show. Have a good 94. George Carlin, thought-provoking right back here.
Dave?
24.
Oh, you got another number.
Just throwing that one in, 24.
Man, you're fast at this.
Thank you. Our next guest is, well, I got a real head for figures. Our next guest is a talented comedian who stars as George on the George Carlin Show over there on the Fox Television Network. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the man himself, George Carlin. Ladies and gentlemen. Hello, George. Yeah. How you doing?
Well, I don't feel good.
What's the matter? What's the problem?
I don't feel good, but I look great, and I think
you
that's
do. You
all
look,
that counts.
Yeah.
I always say it doesn't matter what your health is, as long as you got your appearance.
Oh, sure.
No, well, this is good news. I'm ovulating again.
Hey.
Yeah. Took me by surprise because 5 years ago I had my tubes tied.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And at the time I didn't even know I had tubes.
Yeah, sure.
Gynecologist told me. He said, "Hey, you got tubes." I said, "Hey, tie 'em."
There you go.
So I'm doing pretty good.
So you're in business or you're not in business? We don't care.
And I'm feeling pretty good. I'm a little tired. You have to go with me.
Yeah.
A little tired. I was out all night drinking with Margaret Thatcher.
No.
Yeah. Did you ever go drinking with her?
No, I never. I don't drink.
She can put it away. You know what she drinks?
No.
Straight 151 proof Puerto Rican rum. Wow. Out of a water glass.
Man.
And after about 6 of them, she drinks it through her nose. But quite a broad, quite a broad. Later on, she beat up a couple of sailors and destroyed a subway station. And I dropped her off. I didn't even try to kiss her goodnight.
No, that's probably just as well.
I let her go. You know, who needs her? Yeah. She stays at the Y. I dropped her at the Y. What do I know?
Oh,
so
man.
I'm doing good. I'm in New York, and I love it.
Yeah. Now, so it must be great fun for you to come back here because you're from this area, the Bronx, right?
No, sure. No, well, good for the Bronx and all of our fine boroughs. Yeah. But I am from the Upper West Side. I grew up about 3 miles from here. Mm-hmm. You heard of Hell's Kitchen?
Yeah.
And this is not mine. It's not quite that tough. Hell's Breakfast Nook.
Ah!
And I just love the city. You know, it's great. You know you're back in New York when you see a bumper sticker that says "Save the Cockroaches."
Yeah.
You ever see? There's another bumper sticker. You ever see those ones that say "We have a daughter on the honor roll at the Gaston Elementary"?
Very proud of their kids.
Yeah, I saw one today. It says "We have a son in public school, hasn't been shot yet." You know, so
that's good.
Yeah,
the glimmer of hope there.
Sure. And I walk a lot.
You do?
I go out.
You like to get out and see the city.
Good city for
a
walk.
Sure.
Well, you mentioned the guy in Times Square.
That's right.
You see a lot of things. Saw a couple of cops today drinking beer.
No.
2 cops.
On duty cops? Oh, that's sinful.
And I'm not talking about beer cans in a paper bag. These guys had a full keg.
No.
Yeah, and, you know, nachos and a boombox. They were having fun. I kept walking. I kept going, you know. Saw a transvestite trying to pick up a mime.
Yeah. What is that?
Mine kept going like this.
Yeah.
You know, they traded makeup, and I kept walking. You know. Saw 2 hookers fighting over a John.
Really?
Then I saw 2 Johns fighting over a hooker.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, the hooker fight was the better fight. Yeah. Well, the Johns, it turns out they were both married and the fight had gone out of them a long time ago.
I see.
What else did I see? Saw a lot. Oh, the squeegee guys. Don't you love the squeegee?
Yeah, sure.
I had a squeegee guy he ran up to me so fast today, before I had a chance to react, he had cleaned my contact lenses.
Wow.
I don't think Pine Sol is recommended for use on soft lenses, do you? Another squeegee guy was directing traffic. You ever see him down near the tunnel?
Yeah.
Sometimes they direct traffic.
Sure, yeah.
Some of them are good.
Yeah.
This guy was serious. He was giving out parking tickets, traffic tickets, stuff like that. I don't think you're obliged to go to court to answer a summons written on a flattened milk carton, do you? I think you could beat that on appeal.
George, let me ask you a question. You
Yeah.
don't really need me out here, do you?
I go for it. That's true. Yeah. Well,
in the back. Catching a nap.
you know what I did? I played a lot of my old Letterman appearances.
Oh, did you?
I played my
So
old
you
Letterman.
were
There was
worried.
a lot of spaces. And I said, I'm going to just get out there and fly
Well,
like
that's
Rodney
good.
would.
We appreciate that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Hit the chair and go to work.
Absolutely.
Now, with your television show, do you
Yeah.
still travel around and do live shows? You still in concert?
I'm busy all the time. Busy as a lesbian in a hardware store. You know what I mean? Huh? Busy. Always doing something. Always doing something. You know, yeah. Now that I got a show on TV similar to yours, you get a lot of opportunities.
Oh, sure.
So I'm writing a movie. I don't think there's been a really good bowling movie. Do you?
Probably not. Not that I know
especially a good action bowling movie.
Yeah.
We got Bruce Willis. It's called the 710 Pickup. Pick it up or die, something like that.
Pick it up or die. That'd be excellent.
I should have written that down before I said it. And I'm proud to say I've written a sequel to the Bible.
No.
Sequel. Yeah, I was going to call it Bible 2, but the publisher wanted something a little punchier. We're going with The Bible Rides Again, which I think it was better than The Bible Meets the Wolfman. You know, that was the other choice. And we're doing some of the lost books.
Oh, yeah.
You know, everybody knows the Book of Ruth, the Book of David. We got the Book of Steve. Found it in a cave.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And we got one book. You didn't know that? We have one book written all in limerick form.
Oh, that's nice.
People aren't aware of it. It's like there once was a prophet from Crete whose toga got stuck to his seat, and the rest of it I can't remember.
Yeah.
But it's here. Oh, I'm doing a TV show. I have something in development, which is a Hollywood word, as you know.
Right, sure.
A kind of a twist on an old TV, doing the all-white version of the Jeffersons.
Oh, that'd be good.
Yeah, and the big neighbor is black. You know, so it's going to be good.
Oh, George, it's good to see you. I appreciate the rest.
Yeah. Let me mention my own show.
It's on Sunday nights.
Right. We're back. We're back for our second season, Sunday nights at 9:30, following Married with Children. And we got a lot of interesting things we're doing. We're trying to build an audience and having some fun.
Good for you. It's good to have you on television on a regular basis
Thank you.
again.
Thanks
Thank you for
very much.
coming.
I
George
appreciate it.
Carlin, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back here with Bon Jovi. So Steve, if you can hang around, that's great. I have to bring out my first guest. You're welcome to stay there or move over to the other chair, whatever the hell you want to do. It's fine with me. You know George Carlin?
I've never met him.
Well, he's a very funny man. I think you two will hit it off just fine. Our first guest has been entertaining audiences for the last 30 years, and tonight should be no exception. He will be performing at the University of Maine on Saturday night. Ladies and gentlemen, here's George Carlin. George. Welcome to the big program, George. Nice to have you here.
How you doing
Steve,
now?
one of our neighbors, he just dropped by. We're getting acquainted, having a little cake, having a little coffee. Can I get you something, sir?
Just had a bar of soap. No, thank you.
That's odd. You had a bar of soap, huh?
Well, I'm an odd guy.
How you feeling?
Feeling well. My doctor said Mylanta, and the odd thing was I didn't ask him anything.
Just said Mylanta.
I was in the waiting room. He says Mylanta, and I looked him in the eye. I said Rosebud. He didn't have it.
And there you go. You're
He
off
didn't know
running.
what to do. Yeah. No, I had my physical.
Had a
today.
physical. You go in once a year, have a physical?
Yeah, I had a mammogram for the first time. Those things hurt. Those things hurt.
No, you didn't. You didn't have
Okay,
it. No,
I didn't
you
either.
didn't have a mammogram.
But they did find a spot on my lung.
Oh, my God. I'm sorry.
Fortunately, it was barbecue sauce. Yeah. Yeah.
So they get in there with a bottle brush or something and take that out?
I don't know, but I guess I inhaled when I was eating ribs, you know. And a little bit of ringing in my ear. Now, I've heard you had that.
That tinnitus or tinnitus?
Tinnitus,
Yeah.
ringing in the ear. And they looked in and found a small bell.
Ah.
No, okay. Actually, I have objective tinnitus.
I don't know what that means.
I can't hear it, but other people can.
So people around you
they don't know
hear
what's
this
going
annoying
on.
high-pitched hum
They
in your
say,
head.
somebody answer that.
Oh, God. But you know, Steve lives here. We've been here for 2.5 years. This is not far from your old neighborhood, is
Upper
it?
West Side, a little farther up.
Yeah.
I lived in West Harlem, kind of a tough neighborhood.
Were you a tough guy yourself?
Nah, not really. No. Tough neighborhood, though. I'll tell you, if Charles Bronson had lived there, he would have been a cocktail waitress, you know? I was not tough, no.
What was your childhood like? Did you get beat up much?
No, I'm Irish. You're supposed to be able to fight.
I thought so.
Fighting Irish.
Tough
like
guys.
that guy Peter McNeely, who
Tyson.
fought Tyson. You know the reason he lost?
Yeah.
There was only one opponent. Irish guys aren't comfortable unless there's 3 or 4 people they're fighting. He was confused.
You got to be like a brawl situation.
Most of the guys in my neighborhood were bigger than I was, you know, and people would say to me, they'd say, well, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. But I knew better. You know, I knew the bigger they are, the longer you stay unconscious. And I just didn't like to fight. So, you like that? Good. I'm doing well here?
Yeah.
How am I doing here?
Fine.
I'm doing okay out there.
He's full of cake. Don't bother him.
All right.
But
I would use my wits to get out of a fight.
Well, you have to.
Did you do that?
You're a bright kid. Yeah.
Comedians do that. Like if a guy wanted to fight me, I would imitate Jerry Lewis. Scares them right off.
Sure.
They think you're an unfortunate and it's bad luck to hit you, you know. Don't hit a guy like that. Bad luck. Or else I would make up a story. Like I remember if a tough guy would try to fight me, I would say, well, I'd love to fight you. Unfortunately, my mother will not allow me to fight in this suit. And usually they would just take the suit. And that was okay with me because I found you can run a lot faster without a suit on. You know. So I got by, but, you know, Steve doing all right? I can't watch everybody.
Steve, get a hold of yourself. You're throwing off his rhythm.
No, it's the unexpected laugh. That's what it is.
You look good. Things are going great for you, and
Feel
you got
great.
a whole lot of other stuff to tell us about. We got to do a commercial.
Uh-oh.
Cake. I can let you have some cake now during the commercial.
Why not?
We'll be right back here with George Carlin, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the program. George Carlin is here, Emmylou Harris and Ellen Cleghorn, and that Steve, he just dropped down for some Taster's Choice Swiss Mocha coffee. So, George, tell me about your continuing now with your early life growing up.
Yes.
The formative years, the adolescent years. What about women? Did you have any luck with girls when you were a kid?
Well, not so when I was little. And when you know how you would play doctor with girls, you know, play doctor. Well, usually when I would be examining them, I would find something wrong, you know.
Really?
Yeah. I would say, good God, girl, you've got an aneurysm here.
Oh, my goodness.
It's either that or hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. I knew a lot of stuff. And I said, we need more tests.
You were an excellent diagnostician.
That's right. I'd put him on the back of my tricycle and take him straight to emergency. If it was something not too serious, like high blood pressure, I'd just, you know, write him a prescription and take 6 Tootsie Rolls 4 times a day.
That's cute. Yeah.
They liked me. You know.
So now, did you ever get beyond that as far as your development with the opposite sex?
No, not really. Kind of stayed at that level right through my 40s. Yeah.
Well, it probably paid off, though, by the time you got to your 40s. Yeah, a lot of grateful women.
I was just, and I was strange, you know. I mean, that's what it was. You know how you get baseball cards with bubble gum? I would keep the gum, throw away the cards, because I was convinced that someday the gum would be worth a lot of money.
Right. How's that working out?
It didn't, but hey, it was a 50-50 shot.
Yeah, it could have gone either way, of course. It's not a bad bet.
I could just as easily have been right. I was a strange kid. When they'd say, what do you want to be when you grow up? I tell them I'd like to be a wholesale distributor of preformed aluminum. So there's something wrong, you know. In school, they would say, you have an excellent mind, it's just not readily apparent to an outside observer.
Right. Well, what good does that do you?
Not a bit.
I don't know.
Nothing. Well, I'm sitting here.
Well, yeah, there you go. So is he.
Well, that's true. Well, the family was strange. I came from a strange family.
I happen to know one thing about you. Yeah. I think you were named, you got the name George from an uncle, I think. George. Is that right? Am I right about that?
That's right, Uncle George. And I would tell you Uncle George's story, but I think that I couldn't do justice to it. If you give me a pass on that, I'd like to come back and tell you about Uncle George. I have something I can fill with.
I'm going to have to go to the judges on this.
Yeah, what do you think? Okay.
Can we give him a pass on this?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, there it is. Okay. All right, the judges say sure.
But I would say that here's a hint. George and I both came from this odd family. We had a family motto, quid erat pro sedantus, which, well, one half of the family says it means what is going on here. And the other half says it means, may I have my hat back? So,
either way, it's not bad.
No, not bad.
All purpose.
And they were just, there was a family secret. There was a family secret, and when I was 12 years old, I found this out. And I went to my parents and I said, what's the family secret? And they said, we don't know. It's a secret.
It's just that good. Yeah.
Yeah, it was sad. It was really sad. My father always wore a three-piece suit. You know, it didn't have a vest. The jacket was torn in half. Is what it was. And
I don't even know what that.
I don't know
can't
either,
even figure out in my mind what that.
Yeah.
Doesn't even make any sense. But
My mother she was one of the earliest diagnosed. She had 16 different personalities.
Oh.
Unfortunately, they were all unpleasant. So I did what I could. And
you're a lucky man, George.
I got here.
You're a survivor.
That's right.
You've prevailed, and now you're enjoying the good life.
And I'm going to do another HBO show right up the street at the Beacon Theater. Still about 6 months away.
In March or so.
Yeah.
And this weekend, did we mention you're going to be in Maine at the
University of Maine at Orono for 2 shows on Saturday.
Always a pleasure to have you here, George.
Thank
you very much.
Thanks very much. Nice to see you.
George Carlin, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back. Yes, sir. Now, the other nice thing about Disney owning New York City now. Remember the old days when New York City was interesting and entertaining in and of itself enough that you didn't need an amusement park to come in and run the town? Well, it's not. New York City is not nearly as much fun as it used to be. That's why we've called the folks at Disney in. The other good thing about Disney, they have the big Disney store. Where is it, Paul? You're a part of the Disney family now.
I am now, yeah.
Where is
the 42nd and 7th Avenue.
That's right. And you can go in there. Now listen to this. Get yourself one of those Mickey Mouse T-shirts. You know what I'm talking about?
Sure.
And a set of ears.
Yeah.
It's like a 50-50 blend, poly-cotton blend, the T-shirt.
Poly-cotton blend.
In a month, you know,
What's
it's
the
like
thread count
it's a
on it?
hanky. You know, wash it, and then when you have a cold, it just, oh, look, a hanky. So you can get yourself one of those shirts and the mouse ears, the injection molded plastic mouse ears, $160.
Really? They get that much for
That's
it?
right. That's right. Now, whereas if you go all the way to Orlando, it's a $200 value. Our first guest is one of the all-time greats of stand-up comedy and the author of this new best-selling book right here entitled Brain Droppings. Here is the very funny George Carlin. George?
How are you? How's everybody? Okay? Doing all right? Thank you very much. That's all right. Please. Thank you. Thank you. That's nice.
You know, we have a lot of little expressions in the English language that we use all the time. Most of us use them every day, and we never really seem to examine these expressions very carefully at all. We just sort of say these things as if they really made sense. Like, legally drunk. Well, if it's legal, what's the problem? Leave my friends alone, officer. They're legally drunk. You know where you can stick it. Well, why do we always assume everyone knows where they can stick it? Suppose you don't know. Suppose you're a new guy. Huh? You have absolutely no idea where to stick it. I think there ought to be a government booklet entitled Where to Stick It. Now that I think of it, I believe there is a government booklet like that. They send it to you on April 15th. Undisputed heavyweight champion. Well, if it's undisputed, what's all the fighting about? Undisputed means we all agree. These two guys are whacking the crap out of each other over something apparently they agree on. Down the tubes. You hear that one a lot. Ah, the country is going down the tubes. What tubes? Have you seen any tubes? Where are these tubes? And where do they go? And how come there's more than one tube? It would seem to me one country, one tube. What, does every state all of a sudden have to have its own private tube now? One tube is all you need. But a tube that big, somebody would have seen it by now. Takes the cake. You know, say, boy, he really takes the cake. Where? Where do you take a cake? To the movies? You know where I would take a cake? Down to the bakery to see the other cakes. And hey, how come he takes the cake? How come you don't take the pie? Pie is easier to carry than the cake. Easy as pie. Hold on, cake is not too hard to carry either. Piece of cake. Fine and dandy. That's an old-fashioned one, isn't it? Say to a guy, how are ya? He says, fine and dandy. Not me. I never say that. You know how come? Because I'm never both of those things at the same time. Sometimes I'm fine, not dandy. Close to dandy, approaching dandy, in the vicinity of dandyhood. Not quite fully dandy. Other times, I am indeed highly dandy. However, not fine. One time, 1968, August, for about an hour, I was both fine and dandy at the same time. But nobody asked me how I was. Here's another one, the Riot Act. The Riot Act. They keep telling you they're going to read that to you. Have you heard this thing at all? Especially when you're a kid, they like to threaten you. You wait till your father comes home, he's going to read you the Riot Act. Tell him I already read it myself. And I didn't like it either. I consider it wordy and poorly thought out. He wants to read me something. How about the Gentleman's Guide to the Golden Age of Tongue Kissing? One more of these. More than happy. I bet you say that sometimes, don't you? Once in a while, don't you say to somebody, oh, I'd be more than happy to do that. How can you be more than happy? To me, this sounds like a dangerous mental condition. We had to put Steve in the mental home. He was, whoa, more than happy. There you go.
Nice job. Good to see you again. We'll be right back here with George Carlin. George Carlin is here. Nice job, George.
Thank you.
Very funny, as always.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for being here. How you doing? Everything going all right?
Doing pretty well. You know, I turned 60 about a month ago.
Congratulations.
60,
Good for you.
They always do that. People always applaud because you're still alive. It's good. But oddly enough, I've started ovulating again, Dave. I have, yes, and lactating.
Well,
so
that could be a deadly combination.
Yeah, I do like to announce these things on your show.
But you know, you're always working, which is
Yeah.
great. I mean, I think that's
Yeah.
one of the keys to staying young.
Absolutely, and staying healthy. And I'm working right this minute.
Right, sure. Yeah.
I mean, as pleasant a fellow as you are, this is still work. I'm getting paid for this.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and you're not going to snap tonight, are you? Something like that?
No.
because I keep reading these articles. People think you're
I
going to
could.
snap.
You just never know. I might snap. Yeah.
Snap on your own time, okay, Dan? On the way home, I'm sure you'll be okay.
But you mentioned that you're 60 years old,
Yeah.
and
well, I got a few things, in fact, I've been working on.
really.
Well, I always, some of these things that are so new, one has to commit them to paper instead of memory.
Right.
But these are things I've been working on. Call me silly, Dave. Call me silly. But I've always wanted to try to come up with a personal ad for the newspaper that no one would answer.
Oh, yes, excellent challenge.
That you would
Sure.
absolutely get no replies.
No response, no interest whatsoever.
And I think I have it.
Oh, good. All right.
Elderly, accident-prone, severely depressed alcoholic coal miner, interested in Canadian food and Norwegian folk dancing, seeks wealthy, attractive, sexually starved, well-built woman in her late teens, must be non-smoker. I think that might work.
I think that comes pretty close.
No mailman ever. And the other thing, and
You have another project that you're working
you'll
on?
understand why these had to be committed to paper.
Sure.
Always been trying to come up with a single sentence that would contain, or at least refer to, all of the 7 deadly sins.
One sentence referencing each of the 7 deadly sins.
Right.
Yeah.
And
that's never been done, I don't think.
No, and not in any of the religion books I mentioned or read. We want to remember the 7 deadly sins, by the way, just for reference here. Greed, anger, pride, lust, gluttony, sloth, and envy. So here's my sentence.
Okay.
I'm really angry that I, a superior human being in every way, have less money than my neighbor, whose wife I would love to nail if only I weren't so busy sleeping and eating pork chops. That might work. I think I got it.
Is eating pork chops? I'm sorry.
Gluttony.
Gluttony.
Yeah.
But they don't single out pork chops.
No, but one has to be specific in comedy.
I see. Well, I think you've come very close on both counts there.
Yeah.
Nice going. But your career has been so successful. When you look back, you're a man who's worked like 3 decades or longer.
Actually 4. This is my 40th year in comedy, 20 years on HBO, and 60 years roaming around unattended in the environment. And now that I'm 60, there's something I'd like to announce or ask. It's sort of a request plus an announcement. From now on, I would like to be known by a different name.
Really?
If it's okay.
Sure.
Yeah. I would like from now on for people to call me Cannonball.
Yeah. Cannonball Carlin.
Cannonball Carlin.
It has a nice
And it's not asking a lot. It's not asking a lot.
I think not. No, absolutely.
An occasional hi, Cannonball.
Yeah.
Hey, Cannonball, how's it going? Maybe even Dave, yo, Cannonball, what'd it be like? I might just get that. We'll see.
Now,
Aren't you nice? Aren't you nice?
do you have any regrets, Cannonball?
No. Well, perhaps a few. May I say also, being 60, because I want to slip this into a lot of people, now that I'm really kind of a really big figure in Hollywood, kind of a Hollywood figure.
Powerful man in Hollywood.
Yes, powerful man, megastar. Have you noticed the word star evolved? First, star was okay. Clark Gable was a star, didn't bother him.
No.
Then there were too many stars, and they had to come up with superstar. Michael Jackson's a superstar.
That's right, sure.
Too many superstars now. Megastar. So now that I'm at this stage, people ask me, now that you're 60, are you going to get any plastic surgery? Because this is the big thing out there. And I had a little on my nose. I had an automobile accident. I've had a little sort of like medical plastic surgery.
You just look to me like a man who has lived life.
Lived life and don't need a lot of fixing, except I am thinking of having my handwriting altered surgically. They do this by shortening your fingers. Have you heard of this?
No, it's
Yeah,
supposed to be fairly new.
it's fairly new. They take off several centimeters of finger, and it alters how you hold the pen. And what really is good about it, first of all, it freezes your current autographs at their present value forever.
Because you can
There
never
are no more of them.
duplicate it.
That's
That's
right.
right, sure.
And your new ones, because there are none yet,
Right.
worth a fortune.
Wow.
Isn't that great? Because anything that there is nothing of is worth a lot. I think you know that.
Oh,
Plastic surgery. I had another plastic surgery thing, and I can't. Oh, I know what it was. I'm thinking, just thinking of this, going to the plastic surgeon and asking him to give me a puzzled look. Wouldn't that be good? You know, to go in the office and just say to him, "Doctor, can you make me look like this permanently?"
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Is that it?
I'm not sure that's puzzlement.
Isn't puzzlement?
I'm not sure.
I better check.
It might be.
I wouldn't want to get it and have the wrong look.
No, go through the catalog.
Yeah. Do they have that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, perplexed. Maybe that's closer to perplexed.
Now, your book is doing pretty well. The
Book is doing. I'm so happy. It's number 9 on the next New York Times list that comes out. And just if I can make a little descriptive plug, it's not an autobiography or a memoir. It is a lot of comedy stuff.
Right.
And only 2 things are from the past that people might know. Just 2 things from the past. One is stuff, a place for my stuff, and the other is baseball and football. Everything else is brand new.
right. Great.
Yeah.
Now, you were to be with us, I believe, about 6 weeks ago.
That's right.
And as everyone knows by now, you suffered a great loss in your life. Your
Yeah.
wife died.
Yeah.
First of all, I would like to thank you for coming back after
Thank you.
the ordeal. And
Yeah.
just you seem to be doing very well. I hope you are.
Well, Kelly and I, my daughter, you know, you bang back and forth between reason and emotion. You're using your mind. You're away from it a while, then you hit it again.
Sure.
So, you know, it's the normal it's life. Up,
Yeah.
down, left, right,
That's
forward
right.
and back.
And of course, we'll be with you forever now.
Yes,
Yeah.
oh, absolutely.
All right.
Best partner anyone could have had, Brenda.
But you're doing well.
Thank you, I am.
Good, sir.
Yes.
Pleasure to see you.
Thank you very much.
George Carlin, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back. So we'll check in on those gentlemen from time to time. That's a nice story. Been cutting Walter's hair for 30 years there at the Beverly Hilton Hotel. Our first guest is a legendary comedian and the author of this best-selling book right here. It's called Brain Droppings, which was recently published in the very popular paperback format. Do me a favor, ladies and gentlemen. Please welcome the always entertaining George Carlin. George.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you very much, and how do you do? I'm here tonight to talk about sports. To my way of thinking, there are only 3 sports in this country: baseball, basketball, and football. Everything else is a game or an activity. Nothing else qualifies as a sport as far as I'm concerned. Hockey comes to mind. People think hockey is a sport. Hockey is not a sport. Hockey is 3 activities going on at the same time: ice skating, playing with a puck, and beating the crap out of somebody. But these people, if they had any imagination, they would do these things one at a time. First, you go ice skating, then you play with a puck, then you go to the bar and beat the crap out of somebody. Another reason hockey is not a sport: it's not played with a ball. Anything that isn't played with a ball can't be a sport. Hockey is played with a puck. What is a puck? I never heard of a puck outside of hockey. Have you ever heard of a puck? The only place you see a puck outside of hockey is in the urinal in the men's room to control the odor. Yes. And as far as I'm concerned, any game where the main object came out of the men's room definitely is not a sport. Soccer is not a sport because you can't use your arms. Anything where you can't use your arms can't be a sport. Tap dancing isn't a sport. I rest my case. Running. People think running is a sport. Running is not a sport because everybody can do it. I can run. You can run. My mother can run. You don't see her on the cover of Sports Illustrated, do you? People say, I'm going to run down to the store and buy a loaf of bread. Fine. It's not a sport. I'm not going to pay money to watch you buy a loaf of bread. Swimming. Swimming is not a sport. Swimming is a way to keep from drowning. That's just common sense. Right. Another water activity, sailing. Sailing is not a sport. Sailing is a way to get somewhere. Riding a bus isn't a sport. Why in hell should sailing be a sport? And boxing. Boxing is definitely not a sport. Boxing is a way to beat the crap out of somebody. In that respect, boxing is a more sophisticated form of hockey. But beating the crap out of someone is definitely not a sport, in spite of what the police think. When police brutality becomes an Olympic event, fine, then boxing can be a sport. Bowling is not a sport because you have to rent the shoes. All right? Don't forget. Right. These are my rules. I make them up. Billiards is not a sport. Billiards is not a sport because there's no chance for serious injury. Unless you welch on a bet in a tough neighborhood. Then, if you see someone with a pool cue sticking out of this portion of his anatomy, you know that might just be a sports-related injury. All right? Gymnastics. Gymnastics is not a sport because Romanians are good at it. Don't forget, my rules, I make them up. Polo. Polo is not a sport. Polo is golf on horseback. Interesting concept, not a sport. And water polo, I don't even want to talk about water polo because it's extremely cruel to the horses. Which brings me to hunting. You think hunting is a sport? Ask the animals. The only good thing about hunting is the many accidents that take place on the weekends. Which brings me to auto racing. Now we're talking serious injury, folks. I don't know about you, but that's what I'm looking for in auto racing, a nice crash and a car fire. Hey, I don't care who wins these races. It's the same 5 rednecks who win them all the time anyway. What do I care? I don't care. I don't care. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you. Driving 500 miles in a circle does not impress me. Then we have tennis. Tennis. Tennis is very trendy. It's not a sport. Tennis is actually a form of ping pong. In fact, tennis is ping pong played while standing on the table. All of these sports. Yes. As a matter of fact, all racket sports are derivatives of ping pong. Even volleyball is racketless team ping pong played with an inflated ball in a raised net while standing on the table. Which leaves us with golf. Golf. You ever watch golf on television? It's like watching flies fornicate. Frankly, I get more excited picking out socks. Golf might be a fun thing to do if you could do it alone, but it's these insufferable nitwits you have to hang around with that makes it such an appalling pastime. Think of the brains it takes to play golf. Think of this. Here's the object. You hit a ball with a crooked stick, and then you walk after it. And then you hit it again. I say, pick it up, put it in your pocket, and get the hell home. You're lucky you found it in the first place. Okay.
George Carlin. All right. Nice going, buddy.
Okay. We'll be right back. Nice job.
Hey, I'll be right back with George Carlin. Hotel there in Beverly Hills. It's a pretty good gig for Walter. He goes in there, gets his hair washed, and he's on TV at the same time.
Can't beat that with a beating machine.
How you doing? Nice to see you again.
I'm doing very well, thanks. I had did my annual physical.
Oh, good.
They found a spot on my lung. Oh. Fortunately for me, barbecue sauce.
Oh, that's great.
But I'm feeling pretty good. I finished a chapstick this week. And I always feel good when when a little nub won't go in anymore, keeps falling out. Then I know I've done my work. Yeah. But I'm doing pretty good.
Now, you mentioned sports. By the way, it's very, very funny, the discussion of sports. Now, is there any sport that you play
well,
or
I played.
follow?
I don't play no more. I played basketball. You ever hear of the St. Louis Pimps? That was us. That was us. Yeah.
No, I never.
Know what our colors were? Flesh tone and green. And I was good. I was good. They retired my jersey, actually.
Is that right?
Yeah, well, for sanitary purposes.
I see.
But they put it up on the rafters just so no one would have to get too close to it, you know? But I'm convinced to this day, though, that if I'd have been
a lot taller, a lot stronger, and a lot faster, and been able to shoot the ball a whole lot better, I could have been a decent player. Trouble was...
so close.
Oh, yeah. Trouble was I wasn't fast.
Yeah.
Just wasn't my... You know who was fast? My brother, D'Artagnan. I've told you about him.
Yeah.
Fast. He was so fast, one time in a football game, he blocked a kickoff.
Wow.
Yeah. That's speedy. Speedy guy.
Is that legal? I don't think I've ever seen
No, it's not legal.
that.
He found that out, you know.
I've never seen
But he was
that done.
enthusiastic.
Oh,
enthusiastic,
sure, yeah. Starting off the game like that.
So that's about the history of my
Have you been watching the NBA Finals?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. I like people under pressure, and but you see the games and you realize they could improve these games. Just a few little rules changes. For instance, I would have a 2-second shot clock. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just bang.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, speed the game up. As soon as the ball's inbound, get that sucker up in the air. I don't think professional ball players should need 24 seconds to figure out a shot. You know what I mean?
I mean, we all know where it's going.
That's right.
Exactly.
Another thing I would do in basketball, at the center court line, for 10 feet on either side of the center court line, I would have a gasoline fire. Wouldn't that be good? Yeah. Yeah.
You talk the whole game?
Yes, the whole game. You talk about the fast break. This is the really fast break.
Yeah.
Here's something else. You know how sometimes these games get one-sided in the fourth quarter,
sure.
18 points difference? I would allow 25 points for any ball that goes in the basket off an opponent's head. Yeah, you'd see some good fistfights in those one-sided games.
That's a 25-point shot.
Yes.
Wow.
And you'd increase the chance for serious injury.
Yeah.
Which is what I like. I like penalties, injuries, and fights. That's why I'm looking. If I want to see winners, I'll watch the Oscars. You know what I mean? What else? Oh, another thing in basketball, I would allow 30, maybe 40, somewhere between 30 and 40 personal fouls.
So just a fist fight all
Once
night
again,
long.
increase the chances of serious injury.
Yeah.
Football, I have a good idea for football. I think all 45 players should be allowed to play at the same time. You know? Just let them get in there. What's this stuff standing around watching the game? Put on a helmet, get in there, and hurt someone. You know what I mean? Here's another thing. In football, I would leave the injured on the field. Yes. Yes. Leave them out there. Well, you know.
Play around them?
Play around them.
They'd be in play.
They'd be in play,
Yeah.
and they're always talking about how it's a big war going on out there. Fine, let the Red Cross come around and pick these people up. Another thing I would do in football, I would allow the winning team to spike the losing coach.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, after
sure.
the Gatorade bath,
That'd be good.
then the losers get a chance.
Dump him on his head.
Just bounce that sucker, you know?
George, this book now out in paperback, which means to me that you want to make all the money because I know the hardbound copy did incredibly well, didn't it?
It did. 360,000 hardcover. I'm really happy to say that.
Nice going,
and
buddy.
it's coming back. Get this. Father's Day. Good Father's Day gift, Dave. Yeah.
It's good to see you again.
Thank you.
Have a lovely spring and a great summer. Come
Sure.
back,
I will.
come back, get a haircut sometime.
I'll get a haircut
Right?
and I'll do a stand-up for you.
George Carlin,
Thank you.
ladies and gentlemen. Our first guest is a big star in the world of comedy. He's been doing stand-up for 40 years, and it's an amazing accomplishment and quite a record. And recently, he has released this 7-disc box set entitled George Carlin, The Little David Years. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, George Carlin.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you very much, Dave. I don't talk about myself on these shows very much, but I had a traffic accident last week that I think I ought to tell you about. And there are a couple of things about me you got to know before I begin. I drive kind of recklessly. I take a lot of chances. I don't repair my vehicle, and I don't believe in traffic laws. So over the course of time, I tend to have quite a high number of traffic accidents. And last week, I either ran over a sheep or I ran over a small man wearing a sheepskin coat. And I don't know because I didn't stop. I do not stop when I have a traffic accident. Do you? Do you? No, you can't. You can't. Hey, who has time? Huh? These days, who has time? Not me. I hit somebody, I run somebody over, I keep moving. Especially if I've injured someone. I do not get involved in that. Not a doctor. I've had no medical training. I'm just another guy out driving around looking for a little fun, and I can't be stopping for everything. Well, let's just look at it logically. Just be logical about it. If you do stop at the scene of the accident, all you do is add to the confusion. These people you ran over have enough troubles of their own without you stopping and making things worse. They've just been in a major traffic accident. The last thing they need is for you to stop and get out of your car and go over to the fire, because by now it is a fire, and start bothering them with a lot of stupid questions. Are you hurt? Well, of course they're hurt. Look at all the blood. You just ran over them with 1.5 tons of steel. Of course they're hurt. Leave these people alone. Haven't you done enough? At long last, haven't you done enough? For once in your life, do the decent thing. Don't get involved. Keep moving. Well, in the first place, it's none of your business. Simple as that, none of your business. The whole thing took place outside of your car. Legally speaking, that's right. That's true. That's right, thank you. Legally speaking, these people you ran over were not on your property at the time you ran them over. They were standing in the street that is city property. You are not responsible. They don't like it? Let them sue the mayor. Besides, it happened back there. It's over now. Stop living in the past. Do yourself a favor. Yes. Count your blessings. Be glad it wasn't you. And I'll give you a practical reason not to stop. Do you need a practical reason? If you do stop, sooner or later the police are going to show up. Is that what you want? Huh? Waste even more of your time standing around, filling out forms, answering a lot of pointless questions? And by the way, who are you to be taking up the valuable time of the police department? These men and women are professionals. They're supposed to be out fighting crime. Stop interfering with the police. You're obstructing justice. And besides, didn't anyone else see this accident? Huh? Are you the only one who can provide information? Surely the people you ran over caught a glimpse of it at the last moment, don't you think? So let them tell the police what happened. They were a lot closer to it than you were. There's no sense having two conflicting stories floating around about the same dumbass traffic accident. Things are bad enough, people are dead, families have been destroyed, time to get moving. You're probably late for dinner as it is. Now, let me say, on the other hand, if I should be out driving around looking for a little fun, and I see a traffic accident, one that I'm not involved in, I stop immediately. Well, I want to get a good look at what's going on. I enjoy that sort of thing. Someone else is injured, I want to take a look. I am Curious George. People don't like that. Police don't like it, you know. They say you're rubbernecking, say you're blocking traffic. Never mind that crap. I want to take a look. I'm never too busy that I can't stop to enjoy someone else's suffering. And I'll tell you something else. Thank you. Thank you. I'll tell you something else, and you might not like this, but as far as I'm concerned, the bigger the accident, the better it is. Well, I'm looking for a little entertainment. You know my favorite accident? 2 buses and a chicken truck. Get hit by a circus train in front of a flea market. Well, I want to see something interesting. I'm looking for a freak show. I want to see a neck sticking out of a gas tank. If I'm going to take the time to stop, I expect to be entertained. Let me say this. If I happen to be in such a position in my car where I can't quite see what's going on, can't get a good look, I'm not the least bit shy about asking the police to bring the bodies over a little closer to the car. That's what they're here for, to protect, to serve, and to bring the bodies over a little closer to the car. Pardon me, officer, would you mind bringing that twisted chap over a little closer to the car, please? My wife has never seen anyone shaped quite like that. Look at that, honey. That's his rib cage sticking out of the glove compartment. Thank you, officer. That will be enough. Well, you can throw him back on the pile. We'll be moving along. And off I go out onto the highway looking for a little fun. Perhaps a tanker truck filled with toxic waste will explode in front of the Pokemon factory.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back to visit with our friend George Carlin.
Tell me about Thanksgiving experiences you've had. Anything? Is it pretty much just everybody's Thanksgiving, or you do unconventional kind of things?
Well, we don't have turkey anymore.
Really?
No, we got a little tired of that.
Yeah.
Last year we had a stork.
Stork?
Stork is good. The year before that, an ostrich.
Oh, yeah.
And the trouble is, two problems with the ostrich. It takes about 200 or 300 pounds of stuffing and about 6 or 8 people to break the wishbone. But it makes a hell of a noise, and we just enjoy it.
Well, the noise, that's festive in its own right.
Boom!
Yeah, it's time to eat.
Yeah.
Do you, as a kid growing up, do you have a certain memory that you like?
Well, my favorite Thanksgiving story is about my favorite uncle, Uncle George, the one I was named after.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. I had a lot of uncles. I didn't know my father at all. This is all true stuff, kind of punched up for comedy, but I didn't know my father. When I was about 2 months of age, he was asked to leave.
Really?
Yeah, he apparently didn't metabolize ethanol very successfully. So he was asked to leave when I was 2 months. I believe he came back once when I was 7, but it was merely because he'd forgotten his hat. So I got to know my uncles. Very well. And on Thanksgiving, they would all come over and pretty much drink themselves into a stupor, you know. Uncles and aunts. Nobody metabolized anything rather well in my family. Aunt Edith was especially impressive. She would always bring 2 bottles of wine. One for herself and the other one for herself. So I got to know my uncles pretty well, except for George. Yeah. They didn't talk about George. George was one of those uncles they don't talk about. Seems that George was in the custody of other people. So I got to be about 8 or 9 years old, and I got curious. I am Curious George. I got curious, and I said, okay, folks, what's the deal on Uncle George? Where is he? And they sat me down, they said, George is in the nut house. Oh. They didn't pull punches in our family. We didn't say mental hospital, psychiatric facility, nut house. I personally have always preferred the term hoo-hoo hotel, which I think you'd like. Yes. I think, yes. I think my aunt tried to soften the blow. She said George does not have both feet in the end zone. So I understood.
The pros.
But I'll tell you what happened to him. It was a very simple story. He was about 18 or 19 years old, and he took off all his clothes. Unfortunately, he was not home at the time. He was on the 59th Street crosstown bus. And he didn't bother anybody, you know, just took off his clothes, probably folded them neatly. Right. And they told him, you know, at that time, by the way, it wasn't really a bus, it was a trolley, so he had the distinction of being one of the few people who was both on his trolley and off his trolley at the same time.
Yeah.
So they told him, they said, don't do that, George, don't do that. And he said, oh, okay. And what do you know, next day, did it again.
Oh, no.
Yeah, same clothes, different trolley. Right. And they put him up in Orangeburg.
Did they ask him why? What was he?
No, I don't think they asked that in those days. I think he just went up to Orangeburg. Orangeburg, New York.
He was just looking to make friends as well?
Well, he was a friendly guy. I think so, yes. Yeah. It might have been comparative anatomy, for all I know. Who knows? Might have been going to ask someone else to do the same thing next. But he wound up in Building 17 at Rockland State Hospital.
So I'm sorry.
Well, it was okay. Yeah. You know, because toward the end, they let him come home. Toward the end of his days up there. He was doing pretty well. They said, you know, he still has one wheel in the sand, but he's doing pretty well. So we'll let him come home.
Yeah, that's good.
And he came home on Thanksgiving, and he was sitting next to me, naturally. Birds of a feather. Put him next to me. I think the theory for letting him home was that his condition would go largely unnoticed in a family like mine. And right in the middle of Thanksgiving dinner, he leans over to me. And I didn't notice anything wrong with him, by the way. He came home, he painted pictures, he played the piano, he smoked a lot of wing cigarettes. And I didn't notice anything wrong. I didn't know why he was away. So until Thanksgiving dinner. He leaned over to me at one point, and they're just doing the normal things, congratulating each other on the mashed potatoes. And he leaned over to me, covered his mouth, and he said, "I'm an admiral." Oh. And I was impressed because, first of all, well, I didn't even know they had a Navy in Orangeburg, for one thing. And truly, I was impressed and I was pleased because, not that he was an admiral, I knew he was really a nut. Yeah. That kind of made me happy. So that's sort of my pointless Thanksgiving story.
Let's talk about the box here of comedy. What this represents stuff that has been released on previous records, stuff that has never been released.
Well,
right?
there's one.
Oh, look at that! You get the thing. You get your mouth opening.
Lenticular. There are 6 albums there.
Wow.
6 albums.
Now that right there is entertainment.
Isn't that nice? You know it. I did 6 albums in the 1970s, and 4 of them were gold albums, and the other 2, I think, aluminum, perhaps lead, I'm not sure.
some non-ferrous metal. And we put them all in here with the original artwork. That's what I love. I know that a lot of re-releases, they put it in a jewel box, but these are actually like the old albums. They fold out, they have the same sleeves in them, everything. But the 7th disc in here is my pride and joy. It's a bonus disc. Gotta have a bonus, Dave. This has a lot of things that, an hour's worth, hour and 10 minutes of things that were never on records before. Didn't make it. You could only get 45 minutes on an LP. So we put them all, Atlantic and I, we put them all on these. So it's a lot of things for people who are real nuts and fans, you know, let them hear those things. And included are childhood tapes that I made. I used to go to the little booths around here in 42nd Street.
Make your own little records?
Make my own record for a quarter. You put it in, you talk for a minute. And they're on there.
So we have a collection then of you from what age to the present day? From what?
Technically speaking, from about 11 up until the late 70s, actually. It cuts off there.
Right. So a good part of your life is represented here in this collection.
That's right. Even my disc jockey theme song is on there.
Excellent.
God.
Good for you. Thank you very much, George.
Thank you, Dave.
Nice piece of work. Congratulations.
Thank you, man.
George Carlin, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back with Jewel.
Thank you.
Our first guest is a three-time Grammy Award winner, a best-selling author, and a bona fide comedy legend. Here is George Carlin, everybody. Welcome back.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you. Feeling good?
You look great. You look very nice.
Yeah, well, I'm just getting over a touch of anthrax, but I feel okay.
Really?
And the cholera came back.
So you've had some medical problems?
Yeah, but I look good. And like you say, I look good. And that's all that counts.
That's really all that matters.
My mother used to say that. She'd say, doesn't matter, I don't care how you feel, as long as you look all right. She had a kind of a wisdom, you know.
I think that's true.
Well, the thing is, I'm 63 now. But that's 17 Celsius. So,
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good. You're only
When I go to-
17 Celsius.
When I go to Canada, I feel really young. You know?
I would think so, sure.
And had a lot of tests, though.
Oh, you had some
I know
testing?
I'm doing okay because you know we both had heart stuff. And
Yeah. Are you a bit of a hypochondriac?
Not at all.
Really?
Not at all. No, but I watch things and I act on them when I see them. They give you they recommend a breast exam now for men as well. Yeah, there's apparently some need for the breast exam, and I had that. They found a little lump, but you know what? Piece of broccoli. Piece of broccoli. Yeah.
You had a piece of broccoli stuck in your breast.
I was in a lot of food fights in the 70s.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, in the 70s, forget about it.
Yeah, of course. But while I was in there, I wanted to tell you about these. Something you might be interested in. While I was in there, I overheard something.
Yeah.
I was in a semi-private room. The guy next to me, it was last minute, you know.
Oh,
I'd rather be alone.
Of course I would.
I'd rather be alone. But this guy, he wasn't any bother. He had a huge bandage practically around his whole head.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, like his whole head. I couldn't see him all the way. And there was a little bit of oxygen place, you know. And his brother, apparently it was his brother, came in and was talking to him. It was just the weirdest thing. The brother says, Jeff, I'm going to do it, kind of remember it for you, okay?
Okay, sure.
And he says, Jeff, your skull is healing very nicely. It's healing very nicely, but they're going to have to reset it. So basically that means they're going to have to break it again.
Right.
And reset it because it looks odd. Yeah, it looks odd. They said it looks funny. The nurses were laughing.
Well, that ain't right.
No. He says the doctors will be in a few minutes. There's 6 of them. They said they want you to not move around a lot when they're using the hammers.
Oh, hammers.
Yeah.
Several hammers.
Because they can't use an anesthetic. It's dangerous.
Oh.
So they want you to hold on real tight to the edge of the bed. And try to relax.
Relax is the key.
Key thing.
That would be the
in
key.
any medical procedure.
That's right.
And then this is the twist, though. Then he says, well, by the way, Jeff, while they got your head open, they're going to put some fire ants in there.
Fire ants?
Just a few. He said, just a few. He was reassuring him, you know. And he says, the fire ants have been given PCP. It's kind of an experimental thing.
Wow.
Something new they're doing, yeah.
Sounds kind of primitive to me, though.
Oh, it's the kind of thing you don't want to hear when you're
No,
whether you're him or me.
Exactly, that's right.
Either person.
Can't be good news for anybody.
No.
Now, did you happen to see the Academy Awards? I bet you watched them.
Yeah. And I'm just not very good at picking movies, I guess. Yeah. I had a favorite that wasn't even nominated. I don't know what happened, and I thought it had a good chance because it was about a guy with a medical condition.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and that's always big. That's an automatic Oscar.
I think so.
Rain Man, Love Story, My Left Foot. You know, automatic.
Yeah, sure.
And this was a thing called Get Off My Back. Yeah, it was about a pair of Siamese twins. And, yeah, well, let me tell you. It's really odd. Where do you hear the story?
A documentary or?
No, this is a fictional film, a feature. Yeah. Feature. A pair of Siamese twins, and one of them commits suicide. Oh. And the other, and he has it in his will that he's not to be separated even after death.
Yeah.
So the brother has to basically carry him around.
Oh my goodness.
And he doesn't like that. Because they didn't get along. Uh-huh. They were both in love with the same double mint twin.
Double mint twins.
So there's bad blood, you might say.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah. So that got nothing, not a nomination?
Not a sign of it last night, nor in the nominations. Then there was a foreign language film I was interested in. That was it's a German film with Swiss subtitles. It's
No, wait a minute. What?
Yeah.
Swiss?
Well,
Swiss?
It's just odd.
Yeah, it's Swiss, really?
My tastes are eclectic.
That's strange.
It's called Hansel.
Uh-huh.
And basically it's the story of Hansel and Gretel without Gretel. Yeah. In this thing, well...
Wait a minute. Hansel?
Yeah, without Gretel. She's not in there. What happens in this version, she dies, unfortunately, at childbirth, and so it's an in-depth study of Hansel alone. Mm-hmm. Kind of thing you would have called an art film years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Documentary. You mentioned that. This is one you probably liked. Walking. Did you see Walking?
I saw
Well,
it. No.
partially filmed in Indiana.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's my home state forever.
I know that. And I was there recently. I saw the headline, Elk Scandal Widens. That was the headline. I sent you that. I guess you never got it. That was that, yeah. Same day they were making peace in the Middle East. Anyway.
The headline.
Elk Scandal Widens. Top
Page
of the
one. Yeah.
top. But on this documentary, it's called Walking. It's a story of a guy who takes a long walk from Vincennes, Indiana.
Oh, I know where that is.
To Durango, Colorado.
Yeah.
And along the way, nothing happens. So it's basically a nice story about how little can happen on a long walk.
I see. Does he go out I-70?
Yeah, right out 70. You know the area.
All right. We'll be right back here with our friend George Carlin, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen,
Freezing.
now George, will you be writing more books? How many books have you actually published? Quite a few.
Well, I have some of them are under a different name, but the Brain Droppings was the big one.
It was a huge hit, wasn't it?
That was under
bestseller.
Yeah, 700,000.
Wow.
And the follow-up to that comes out in April, by the way.
Mm-hmm. What is that going to be?
Napalm and Silly Putty, same kind of book.
Really?
Yeah, same kind of book, but it'll be out late April. But I've been involved in a long-term thing, a long-term project, and I mentioned this here once before. I don't want to repeat myself, so I'll tell you, I'll pick it up where it was.
Okay.
This is something I'm humble just to even talk about it, but I'm writing a sequel to the Bible. It's a sequel, yeah.
And did somebody ask you to write this?
No, it was self-generated.
Really?
Yeah. I just decided.
Churches came to you or anything?
No, they did not. No, nowhere near me.
Just on your own?
On my own, and this will be the first version of the Bible written all in chapstick. That's what I'm doing. It's grape chapstick.
Grape.
I work in grape. I work in grape. And we found some books, because the good names were all taken in the first Bible, you know. Nebuchadnezzar, guys like that. Yeah. So we have the Book of Linda, we found that. The Book of Linda. Book of Julio. And the Book of Debbie. And oddly enough, that's Debbie with an I.
Is that right?
Yeah. So they had vision, even in those days. There was vision.
And I think religious scholars all over the world are waiting.
Yeah, we're going to call it The Bible Rides Again. I thought you'd like that. But I have written a lot of things under a pen name. You know my pen name?
No.
Ballpoint. It's real cute, you know? Jimmy Ballpoint.
Jimmy Ballpoint.
Jimmy Ballpoint. And I wrote a lot of advice books. Mm-hmm. Some of them were big hits. People don't know it was me. Eat, Run, Stay Fit, and Die Anyway.
I remember that.
Right.
That was a big, big seller.
The see, they know.
Yeah.
They know the book. They know the book. Then there was these are kind of advice books, you know. The stains in your shorts can indicate your future. That was not as big a seller.
I can understand that.
Yeah. And I've written a lot of how-to books.
Oh.
Well, when I got in on that craze, but there's so many of them. If you mind if I glance?
Oh, no, sure.
How to make 2 small hats out of a brassiere. And the follow-up, how to make a brassiere out of 2 small hats.
I can see where it would work either way, yeah.
How to kill a rat with a paper clip. You could use that here because you got
absolutely.
that problem.
Yeah.
How to make a small salad out of your work pants.
Work pants.
Yeah, it's really
small salad.
very, very limited sales.
Yeah.
How to fillet a panda. It's kind of a cooking thing. Yeah. Well, you got to know. So some people
Yeah,
need
you
to
might
know.
have to know, of course.
How to lease out the space inside your nose.
That can be done.
Yeah.
Some kind of a government grant, I'll bet.
You have to get a license.
Yeah.
And on top of the how-to books, I says, well, that craze is running out. I go to why, because how-to, why.
Yeah.
And we got a why book. Why you should never yodel during an electrical storm. Apparently there's been some deaths.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Were they Swiss?
There were 2 Swiss guys, oddly enough, with German T-shirts. Why you should never mambo with a policeman. I don't know why I did that.
Well, that
one.
just makes perfect
Yeah.
sense.
And why you should never give yourself a neck operation, but that's about the extent.
Well, I think it's just a matter of getting to it there. It'd be awkward.
with a mirror, you
Even
go-
with a mirror, forget it.
Reverse
Unless
image.
you're Annie Oakley or something.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Now, what kind of and I think I probably know the answer to this, but as a child, were you kind of unusual as a child?
I was off.
Off, yeah.
They would say, he's off. They would look at me and they say, he's off.
Oh.
They say, he's not playing with a full bag of jacks.
Yeah. Why do you think?
Well, first of all, my mother carried me very low. For the last 6 weeks, well, yeah. No, my feet were sticking out the last 6 weeks. I swear to God.
Is that
Yeah. She was the only woman in the neighborhood had maternity shoes. And then, do you see this little fold? I got a little fold in my ear. It's not as prominent as it was, kind of folded over a little. Right. The doctor said that happened because right at the moment of conception, my parents fell off the hood of the car.
Oh.
So I wasn't right.
Well, that's more emotionally traumatizing
Yeah,
probably
I
than
think so,
anything.
yeah. And you know how your father would throw you up in the air and catch you?
Sure, yeah.
Mine would walk away. Walk away.
Hurry up and then take a hike.
Yeah, so I was off.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah. It turned me into a loner.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like Rodney, I'm there, you know.
Yeah, but you've done all right, I think.
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm doing good.
Yeah.
But I had an imaginary friend. I didn't bother with him.
Really?
No. Hell, let him get his own friends.
The hell with your imaginary
I don't need people like that.
Yeah.
That's right.
That makes some sense, I
Yeah.
guess.
I wasn't very good with girls. You know how you play doctor?
Oh, yeah.
I would always find something wrong with them. I found an aneurysm once, another time. Hypertrophic cardiomyopathy.
Well, you're saving lives, though. That's
Yes,
something
get
for
this
everything.
girl to the hospital.
Yeah, that's
Put her
right.
on a trike and get her over there.
Now, is there anything you want to mention upcoming before...
Laugh.com.
Laugh? Oh,
I want
Laugh.com.
to talk about Laugh.com. Laugh.com is a website I'm involved with. It's for comedy, for and by and of comedians. Right. And there's a special posting going up right now. It's about what I'm thinking while I'm sitting here. Yeah, it's just going up. If someone goes to Laugh.com, they'll find out a little thing I'm doing. I say, dear people out there. And
This is what you're really thinking.
What's going through my mind.
Well, I'll be there.
And a little report. Oh, you're going to love it.
Good to see you.
It's nice to see you.
Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Dave. I
George
appreciate it.
Carlin, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back with Powderfinger. Going. That sounded great. Fantastic. Thank you
very much. Not that bad.
I like that Richard Harris. I would love to be picked up in a bar when I'm 70.
Boy, I'll say, yeah.
And tonight, I realized that our guests on the show tonight look alike.
we realize that over here, too, yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Let's get the next one out.
Our next guest is a true comedy legend and looks a lot like our first guest. Tomorrow night, his 12th His 12th HBO special, Complaints and Grievances, airs live from the Beacon Theater here in New York City. Here's George Carlin, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you very much. The wisest man I ever knew told me something I never forgot. And although I never forgot it, I never quite memorized it either. So what I'm left with is having heard something really wise that I can't recall. Well, that's all right. All right. There's a new roach spray on the market. It doesn't kill the roaches, but it fills them with self-doubt as to whether or not they're in the right house. Want to have some fun? Go into a gift shop and ask for your gift. If you have chicken at lunch, and then for some reason you've had chicken again at dinner time, do you ever wonder if the two chickens knew each other? That's all right. Thank you. Some people see the glass as half empty. Some people see the glass as half full. I see the glass as too big. You know you have a drinking problem when you kill a man over a disagreement about Wheel of Fortune. Perhaps you read this in the newspaper recently concerning the 2000 census. They said that during that census, 1.6% of the population was not counted. How do they know that? Now you gotta. Thank you. You know how you get out of jury duty? Tell the judge the truth. Tell him you'll make a really good juror because you can spot guilty people just like that. Tell him it all depends on how far apart their eyes are. I was in a public restroom the other day, had to use the handicap stall. When I came out, someone said to me, "Are you handicapped?" I said, "Not anymore." If a really stupid person becomes senile, how do they know? You know you're in a small town when the restaurant closes at lunchtime so the waitress can go home and eat. Want to have a little fun? Stand on line at the bank for a really long time. When you finally get up to the window, just ask for change of a nickel. They actually call other employees over to look at you. You know you're in the wrong store when you look up on the wall and see one of your personal checks displayed as the reason they don't take personal checks. If you had only one tooth left, would you brush it for a really long time? Here's how you get rid of counterfeit money. Put it in the collection plate at church. Yeah, they don't care. They give it to blind people. My mother was a woman of rare common sense. She once said to me, "If the shoe fits, get another one just like it." Here's something not broadly known. George Washington's brother was the uncle of our country. Doing fine. You know what would be a lot of fun? Be a contestant on Jeopardy and just never buzz in. You know? Just stand there half an hour staring at the other two people. That'd be fun. Go into a gun store, buy a gun, then buy some ammunition, then ask them if they have any ski masks. You ever notice in some hotels they give you a little sewing kit? You know what I do? I sew the towels together.
Carlin, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back. Thank you very much, George. Great stuff.
Thank you.
Very funny as always.
What a great audience tonight.
And this is the soundtrack from your HBO show that people will be able to buy later in December, I guess.
December 11th, the HBO show in audio form. It'll be in the stores.
And the show itself, again, it's your 12th, and it's Saturday night on HBO.
Yes, 10 o'clock.
I know it'll be a big success. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thanks very
George
much.
Carlin, everybody. My thanks to Richard Harris and, of course, Regis and his staff from Regis and Kelly Live. We'll see you Monday with Kevin James and Deion Sanders. Have a great weekend. Good night, everybody.
My head hurts.